All right, everybody. So this week in Housing San Diego, May 8th, we always want to make sure that we do put the date and time on these. We are going to be going over some market data, unemployment data, etc. We're going to give you the analysis that we're getting from the top resources out there. So if somebody's watching this on May 18th and they're looking back going, these two got to be the two dumbest people I've ever seen in my life, it's May 8th. There's only so much we can do. If I could predict the future, we'd be doing a different show right now. All right, so a little bit about our methodology before we get going. We're always looking for long-term and reliable sources for market information and analysis, as well as the science behind them. So the logos on the right, that's just a handful. Definitely a big special shout out to Keeping Current Matters, Steve Harney, Dave Childers, and the crew over there. Tremendous amount of research and graphics is coming from them. So that being said, here's the disclaimer on what we got going on today. Nobody can give you perfect advice. We've been saying this for a very long time. This is what we're seeing taking place. This is what the science has to say about it. Based on all that, that's the best information that I can give you, that we can give you. So that being said, let's bring Kim on. Kim, introduce yourself instead of me trying to do it. How about that?
Sure. No, I am the Director of Sales and Design for Everything Creative. We're the premier staging company here in San Diego, and we've been in business for 14 years. I have been with them 3 and love every minute of it.
Good deal. Good deal. All right, so give us the rundown on staging briefly.
Sure.
But then if you can compare and contrast what took place before the coronavirus, now what's taking place, and what you see going on. Just give us the rundown on staging and design.
Sure. So staging really is an extension of the real estate market, in our opinion. Our job basically is to get a house prepared in the best way to go to market. So whether that is pulling furniture in for a completely vacant house so that it looks livable, people can actually see themselves and their furniture and their belongings in a space, we do that. We also do what we call redesign work, which is going into an owner-occupied house and helping them edit, bring things in from our warehouse, telling them to, design things, paint colors. We do interior, we do exterior. So it's basically giving the seller our best advice so that their house sells quickly and for the most money. So that's basically staging in a nutshell. Our company also does some interior design work, although we've pushed back from that a bit because our staging work has gotten so busy pre-COVID, and we're hoping that that picks up in the very near future. But yeah, the COVID situation, I think, got all of us, took us all by surprise. It feels like it's been a bit of a leveler in the community. And for us, we were absolutely slammed before COVID. We were installing 2 to 3 jobs every single day. Sometimes we were being called in on the weekends to install jobs. For us and our platform, we have a 10,000 square foot warehouse. Now we have 2 warehouses and we have 3 pods outside one of those warehouses. So we are probably one of the larger staging companies here in San Diego. We own our own trucks. We have our own crews. We are fully insured with workman's comp and liability insurance. So we're really a full service company that the real estate industry has counted on for 14 plus years. So when COVID hit us, we really took a step back and tried to figure out a way to be very socially responsible. We didn't think it was socially responsible to have our trucks rolling around town. So we shut our operation down. we shut our operation down for several weeks. And the real estate industry, although it was considered as quote unquote essential, very early on in the pandemic, we didn't know where staging necessarily fit into that. Were we essential? Were we not essential? The Real Estate Association didn't really clearly define that for us. So we felt that it's better to just kind of sit back and wait rather than do something that we were not supposed to do. With that said, because the real estate industry didn't stop, it didn't seem to slow down, and all of the homes that we had staged in January and February and really the first week of March were still selling, contingencies were being removed, and our furniture was sitting in these homes. So we were really presented with a dilemma, and we had to quickly pivot within about 24 hours. And we had to figure out a way to get our furniture out of those houses while keeping our crew safe, the community of San Diego safe. And so what we did was we brought back some of our crew, a very skeleton crew, basically those who were willing to work and help our company out. We are really like a family, so they felt a really nice sense of duty to everything creative. But we also hired a third-party moving company. And then we did have some help from your company, some of the agents, some of the home sellers, some of the buyers who were willing to actually help us move furniture into their garages, store things off-site. So it was kind of a community effort. It wasn't just us. It was lots of agents, lots of buyers, lots of sellers really coming together at a time that it was very uncharted territory for all of us. And we cannot thank the community at large for all of that help because it really went a long way. It was really tough, but we got it done. And for the most part, since then, we have taken staging off of our books until recently. We have started back staging only vacant homes. And during this crisis, I was still out there in the marketplace, visiting new builds, visiting vacant homes on lockbox, very COVID friendly with the gloves, with the masks, with the booties, trying to make sure that we were prepared for when the tightness of our community and our businesses kind of got lifted and eased a bit. So we haven't, quote unquote, stopped working. We've just shifted our work into other arenas. Mm-hmm. The vacant homes that we've staged, we've done very, very slowly. We didn't want to burden all of our crew and wear them out because we don't know. There's so many unknowns about this. We are only doing one a day where we probably could be doing more right now, but we're not. We're treading very carefully in owner-occupied homes. One thing we did launch, which was pretty exciting and very timely, and it was just a coincidence that it happened at the maybe a week or two into COVID, was we purchased the rights to an online virtual consulting platform, and that is called Review My Listing San Diego. And it's basically what I do for some agents anyways, but it's a more detailed effort where an agent or a homeowner can upload videos and still photos onto this platform. We get the request, and then we basically do an electronic analysis for the homeowner or the agent to get the home ready. This can just be done electronically. It can be done virtually. I want to make it clear that we do not virtually stage, but we do virtual consulting. We know that virtual staging has kind of taken a little bit of a lead here, and it's understandable. We personally don't want to get into the virtual staging industry because when a buyer comes into a home and it's now empty, may look great online, it's now empty, it's very difficult for them to still envision what their things look like. And the problem with virtual staging, in our humble opinion, is that the scale of the furniture and the amount of furniture that can be put on a photo electronically as compared to what actually can physically fit into a home or a space, there's a big diversity in that. And so personally, we would rather see our staging in homes or a home be completely vacant. But of course, we don't like vacant homes. So this Review My Listing has given us a really neat opportunity to capture a lot of people that maybe we would not reach, people who don't want to spend a lot of money on a staging, but they want to get their home as ready as they can to go on the market. So it's given us an opportunity to kind of create a broader reach for our company, give a very very good instruction to people from experts like us who see homes, sometimes I'm in 4 or 5 homes a day. So I see it all and my team sees it all. So it gives someone who may be afraid of having people in their house right now, maybe not wanting to go the route of staging, gives them an opportunity to actually have an expert opinion on everything for getting their house ready.
Makes sense to me. Now, I know that we most recently worked together on the listing we have over on La Jolla Shores Drive.
Yeah.
So I think that was the last one we actually did in person.
Yep.
Because the open house we did actually was the first virtual one that we did.
Oh, okay.
So I know we met out there. We did the normal process. Right?
Yep.
So talk me through if that was happening, if I was going to call you tonight and say, hey, I need you guys out there this week, we're going to launch,
Yep.
etc. That's where the Review My Listing San Diego comes in. So
it could. Yep.
Okay. And so that would be the homeowners with the pictures and the videos, and that would be the online consult.
Yes.
Okay.
And it can be through a Zoom meeting. It can also be through FaceTime. I've done a lot of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of different ways, especially for more of a technologically unsavvy homeowner, we can find ways to actually help them. Okay. And I'm going to admit it right here. Mm-hmm. I have masked up, gloved up, booties on, and gone into owner-occupied homes, photographed the whole thing very quickly, gotten out, and then we do our consultation after I've actually seen the entire house live. So I do both, and I'm not afraid to go into homes right now.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's why I know that you guys are getting back out there and I take advantage of the virtual consultation and stuff like we are. So
yeah.
Good. All right, cool. Well, is there anything else you wanted to add about staging before we move on?
Gosh, well, one thing I will tell you, and I think this is pretty amazing, is that normally in our industry, and especially at Everything Creative, there are moments in the year where we are in such a rush to get so many houses to market that sometimes we are faced with a furniture shortage, I will say. And so during normal times, if we need a console or another bed or a table, we can generally call our vendors and get things in within 24 to 72 hours, maybe a week max. But right now, things are obviously slow. The staging industry, as a general rule, gets a lot of their products in China. So that potentially, maybe not right now, but in a month or two, could create a huge shortage in our industry for furniture.
Yeah.
And although, several of us buy from other places, LA, we buy from North Carolina, even those more localized vendors have been faced with delivery issues. The only reason I'm bringing this up is that in January and February, our principals, Danny and Carol Kaplan, came up with a brilliant idea of, instead of waiting till we were in a pickle furniture-wise, let's order for the entire year. So we did that.
Nice.
And we, at the beginning of February, mid-February, we ran out of warehouse space because we had so many boxes. And I'm not just talking furniture. I'm talking rugs, accessories, pillows, lamps, you name it, towels, everything you would need to stage a house was being shipped. And we were kind of panicked because we didn't really have capable room. But now, looking back on it, we have so much furniture, and it is all brand new, and it is all very current, that we are really sitting pretty for the entire year. And it was a fluke that this happened. So, I mean, I went to the warehouse, not yesterday, but the day before, and there are still unopened boxes. That is how much stuff we have, to the point where we had to rent another warehouse. And as I mentioned earlier, we have 3 huge pods. I think one is entirely filled with patio furniture. So we're pretty excited. I have some pretty special projects coming up that I think these homeowners are going to be thrilled with, because they're getting the cream of the crop. Now is probably the best time to stage with us.
Yeah. Nice. Very nice. Well, we definitely have had some questions coming in via Zoom. So we're going to save those for the end. So we're going to get to those. So definitely we'll come back to definitely pick your brain on some of this stuff. So, all right, let's keep moving along. Let's go ahead and get into the real estate. This is the on the ground data. So these are the actual numbers from April, right? Most recent month that we have. Last week, we did go over them. I told you, hey, they just came in literally that morning. They were going to shift. They did shift a little bit. Just to give you an idea, median sales price, $600,000 across San Diego. Last week, we had it at 605. It's corrected down now. So 600,000, 4.3% increase from a year ago. So April 2019. All right. So keep that in mind. Any of the changes, percentages that you're going to see, that's compared to April of 2019. Pricing has been continuing to increase basically since November. All right, keep that in mind. Median days on market, 8 days. That's all a property's lasting in San Diego County.
Gosh.
A year ago, 16 days. All right, 50% less. Months worth of inventory, 1.8 months, down 31%. All right, remember, 4 months worth of inventory, that's considered to be a seller's market. We're at 1.8. In some areas of San Diego, it's under a month at this point. Wow. Active listings. Now, these are the big numbers coming through here, all right? Active listings, 51, 55. That's 29% less. We started the year down, right? We started with historically low inventory. New listings in the month of April, 28.95. That was a 41% decrease. Pending listings, 1949, a 42% decrease. Sold listings, 2169, 31% decrease. All right, now remember, it was March 19th when the stay-at-home order was given in California. So you're now looking at an entire data set for an entire month, courtesy of the coronavirus. Right? We know that people have, in general, been respecting social distancing. They've been not going out. They've been staying at home. This is what we expected. right? If you've been following this show, if you've been following the YouTube channel, this is exactly what we've been telling you is going to be coming, right? There is no surprise. We've been telling you about unemployment and what's coming there. We know that the news that came out today, we knew it wasn't going to be good. We're going to go over that, all right? So here's what we need to know. The active listings, the new, the pending, and the sold, those are December, January-like numbers in a regular year, right? Does that now mean that May is the new January, February? Does that mean that June is the new February, March, where everything starts heating up and everything goes crazy in July? We're going to find out. The numbers are leading us to that path. All right, so looking at new listings as they've been coming on, we've been tracking them daily. So this is going back to March 1st, and it is through yesterday, Thursday the 7th. The red vertical line that you see there, that's approximately the 19th. All right, what we can see, new listings have pretty much just been kind of bouncing around. There's nothing really spectacular until we get to the last couple weeks where we see a whole bunch of listings coming on. What I can tell you is that we are experiencing a surge, maybe a flood of new listings at this point. That's very, very good news. When we look at pending listings, right, this is the same time frame, March 1st through yesterday. The red line again, that's where the stay-at-home order was given. So pending listings, remember, offer accepted, off the market, okay? We can see very, very clearly there's been an increase in the number of offers being accepted since, call it, the end of March, right? So these are trends that we're looking at, very, very important. Now, if we break this down even a little bit further, all right, what we're looking at here now are weekly averages. All right, so trying to simplify it a little bit. The blue line, let's start the red line, pending transactions. All right, if we look at the beginning of March, we were well up in the hundreds, and we see that it just came down to basically the end of March, and we've slowly started increasing. We got into the middle of April. We saw a definite uptick. The last full week of data we had was a little bit of a downtick, right? We don't know why. It could be inventory. That's a pretty good guess. There just aren't a lot of homes on a regular day out here, let alone when we have a pandemic going on, right? So the very promising news is the blue line, the new listings that we're seeing here. All right, so we saw them increasing. We were expecting them to continue to increase. Then the coronavirus came along. We saw the new listings drop down. People have to buy and sell homes, right? I've been harping on this. I've been saying this since the beginning of the pandemic. There are people that have to buy and sell. There are things from, hey, I have to go take a new job in Texas. Hey, I have to sign a new 2-year lease and my landlord just jacked my rent up. There's also a situation about, how about the 67-year-old couple that lost half of their life savings, 2/3 of their life savings in the stock market recently? They now have to sell the home that they've owned for 40-something years, that they raised their family and their grandkids in. They have to sell that in order to secure their financial future and go buy some little condo somewhere. You tell me, do those people need to buy? Do they need to sell? That's what we're talking about, right? And that's what was taking place throughout the month, the last half of March, and basically the first half, if not the entire month of April. The blue line at the very end, this last week, this is that surge in new listings, right? That's an increase in consumer confidence. That's an increase in it's time to get back to regular life, right? So that's the very promising news. So what if we run these projections out? So this is all based off of the data that was collected the first week, May 1 through 7. It is a very, very simple extrapolation. There's no wonderful AI or anything going on here, right? So the new listings in the first week of May, 856. Pending listings, 670. That's very good news. The net listings, we added 186 listings in a week, right? We have a major inventory problem. Net listings for May, if we extrapolate that out, we should increase our net listings by 14%. That's a big piece of good news, especially for people in San Diego, all right? So let's dig more into the economy. Let's take a look at the unemployment report that just came out. Let's try to tie this into how it's going to affect the housing market. All right, so we've seen this graph before. These are the main 4 financial institutions: Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo. Right? Between Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, They're managing over 1.7 trillion with a T dollars for the wealthiest people in the world. If they screw this up, they got a big problem coming. All right, so here's what we have. Q1, the numbers are in. It was right around 4% down, right? Remember the definition of a recession? 2 consecutive quarters with a negative growth. We're not going to have a formal recession until all the numbers from Q2 are in, which is basically going to be the end of August is when we're going to get that number. We're functionally in a recession. It is not actually a recession. It's a repression because we're doing this to ourselves for various different reasons. Some of them very, very good. Some of them we'll see in the long run how they end up playing out. But what we're seeing with the predictions here, all of the major financial institutions are still predicting a V-shaped recovery, a rapid drop to the bottom, which we are sitting in the middle of, and a rocket ride back up to the top in Q3, Q4, the second half of this year into 2020. So how are we seeing different numbers? There's a lot of different things that have to be taken into account. There's basically 3 different types of sciences that have to be applied here when any institution or any person is trying to make a projection. All right. The first thing is business science, right? How has the economy rebounded in the past with similar slowdowns, right? We've gone over the different quotes, whether it be Harvard Business Review, whether it be Zillow, whether it be John Burns Consulting. Everybody is still sticking with the V-shaped recovery. Second thing is the health science. When is the COVID virus going to be under control? And then is there going to be another flare-up in the fall? All right, those are questions that have to be answered. And then the more difficult one, the social science. So once all the business are back to being fully operational, how long is it going to take for everybody to be comfortable going out again? Movies, bars, restaurants, sporting events, flying, hotels, cruises. We'll see. All of these have to be taken into account. All right, so what are some of the experts saying? This is Sam Cotter. He's the chief economist with Freddie Mac. Right? Although the uncertainty of the crisis means the forecasts of economic activity are more unclear than usual, we expect that most of the economic damage from the virus will be contained to the first half of the year, Q1, Q2. Going forward, we should see a recovery starting in the second half of 2020. That's starting in August. That's the beginning of Q3. All right. What about CNBC? Evidence is mounting that home buyers may be coming back to the market after demand plummeted in the past month due to the coronavirus. Pretty compelling quotes. If we take a look at the home ownership as percentage, all right, we know that leading into 2008, so call it 2004, 2005, we were right up at 69%, almost 70%. That has subsequently came way back down. There's a lot of people that have questioned, is home ownership the right thing for me? And we've seen that since the end of 2015, that's come back up. Right? Home ownership rates are increasing. People are seeing the value in owning versus renting. They're seeing the value in the tax advantages, in the ability to refinance a home and lower a payment, or to take equity out to remodel or to do something else with. They have the ability of simply pride of ownership. That is increasing across the board. Here could be a reason why. There's your median asking rent price since 1988. They're not slowing down. They're only going up. And guess whose mortgage you're paying? You're paying the landlord's mortgage instead of paying your own. Right? So when we take a look at the percentage of homeowner equity, right, this also plays into the economy. Right? A lot of the questions I'm asked regularly, is this 2008 again? I really do not think it is. There is just about nothing indicating that it is. Home ownership, home equity is one of the staples of that. So let's break that down. This is an updated set of numbers from the previous show, right? This is the percent equity for homes that have a mortgage, right? So the blue, 42% owned outright, 100% owned. The green, those are homeowners, 17% of the homes in the United States, 17% of the homes in the United States, 60 to 99% equity. 28% of those homes have 21 to 60% equity. All 3 of those categories, right? Call that 87% of the homes. They don't need PMI. They don't need the mortgage insurance. They're in a really, really good position. Under 20%, 13% of the homes, right? The amount of equity is impressive, right? 58.7% of homes in the United States have at least 60% equity. That was not the case in 2006, 2007. 42.1% of the homes in the United States owned outright, no mortgage. The average equity in a home, this was as of January from CoreLogic, $177,000 worth of equity. If that takes a 25% hit, which is a 5% bigger hit than the housing market took in 2008, you still have over $125,000 worth of equity in your home. Are you walking away from that? You're not. Neither is anybody else. This is a slide that is going to sum up why we're not going to see the fire sale of homes, foreclosures, short sales, all this craziness that we saw in 2008, 2009. We're not in position right now to see this. If the economy stays shut down for another couple months, that can change. But where we currently are, especially with, guess what, California, businesses started opening today. More are going to open next week and more after that. So let's talk about the unemployment in a minute. But one last slide or a couple more slides I want to show you. This one is important. This is from Showing Time. This is a system that a lot of the agents use to have another agent call in to book a showing, right? It's a very convenient thing. We can see that showings were increasing right up until about March 3rd, and they plummeted right around March 19th, right down to next to nothing, and they've started to make a recovery. Little dip this past week, but they're back up. People are out looking at homes. The next slide that's going to come through, this is probably the most powerful of all the slides out there, right? So homeowners that have had any thoughts of selling, this is for you, right? Everybody else, this is what's going on with the housing market across the country. This could be one of the big reasons why the housing market is actually in a position to pull us out of this recession instead of driving it further into it. So this is a look at seller traffic in February of 2020. How much seller activity was going on? The dark blue is strong, the light blue is stable, the gray is weak. Right? So not a lot of activity going on in February. Next to nothing in March. Right? There's the coronavirus. So these are sellers. These are homes that are available for sale. This was February's buyer traffic. Everywhere except Louisiana and North Dakota, people wanted to buy themselves some homes. This is now March. Not a big drop off. When we look at these two graphics, not a lot of people on the left are looking to sell. A whole bunch of people on the right are. If you guys have had any thoughts of selling, moving up, moving down, whatever it may be, here's a very interesting statement for you. You very well might be in a position to help this economy recover. The housing market is in that position right now. If you have a reason to move up, to move down, now is the time to do it. There are a lot of home buyers out there. All right, so let's take a look at the unemployment. All right, the most recent unemployment report just came out earlier today, came out at 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific, right? Or maybe it's the other way around, whatever. But here's what we're looking at. In April, we lost 20.5 million jobs, 14.7% unemployment. Big number. February of 2020, 3.5%. Right? This is an event-based crisis. If the coronavirus had never happened, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd be too busy. I'm out helping people buy and sell homes all day. You wouldn't get to see my smiley face sitting on Zoom or Facebook Live. All right, so what can we tell by looking at these numbers? We can see we very clearly hit the peak and we're well on the way down with unemployment. We know that it's event-based and we know that it is not good. Goldman Sachs is looking pretty good now with their 15% projection. But we'll see. Keep in mind, this still isn't the entire picture. All right, so in order to really understand the current situation, I love calling it the Great Repression. We are repressing the heck out of ourselves. How does that compare against the Great Recession and the Great Depression? All right, so here's a great graph that's going to show this depth and length. All right, so how deep is it going to be? How many people? And how long is it going to be? That's what the science is going to want to know. All Right? So when we take a look at the Great Depression, 12 years long, 25% was as deep as it went. A lot of depth and a lot of length. 75% of the country out of business, out of work. Big deal. Here's the Great Recession. 9.9%, 9 years. Here's what Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. I have the key on the top wrong. That's backwards. Goldman Sachs, 15%. That was their projection about 2-3 weeks ago. Now JP Morgan, which is going to come in black, has updated theirs. They're projecting 20%. Remember, that's for the entire year, right? The month of April, the initial month, we're under 15, barely. But that's still, hey, are we going to take some wins at this point? I'm willing to. All right, so what is this graph trying to really show us? There's a lot of people that are impacted by this. It's deep. It's cutting very deeply into the country. But it doesn't have the length. Nobody is projecting this to go for 5, 10, 15 years. It's an event-based issue, not a systemic issue. All right, so the next logical place to go with this is who lost their jobs in what industries. We've covered this somewhat in the last couple episodes. We now have the updated numbers. That being said, this is only updated through April 12th. Right? So this is better than only looking at the first 700,000, but we are not looking at the full picture here. But here is what we're looking at. 38% of the people that are unemployed are servers and bartenders. Okay? Do we think they're coming back to work? Oh yeah, absolutely. Is it going to be instantaneous? No, it's not. Maybe next week, maybe the week after here in California. We don't know. A lot of the restaurants are still in business. They're doing takeout, they're doing delivery, and a lot of the servers and bartenders are actually being rehired. They have been being rehired as drivers to deliver food for the restaurant. Instead of serving it via foot, they're serving it via gas pedal. If we look, keep going on the right, 10% retail. That turned back on today. We'll see a lot more of it over this weekend and into next week. Temporary services or professional services, that's another 10%. We know that those are coming back relatively quickly. 6.8% doctor's offices. We talked about this last week. There are hospitals that are incredibly close to going bankrupt right now because they shut down everything that was not coronavirus. Tell me, how many people have been putting off medical procedures over the last month? A lot. Are they coming back? Are they going to have their teeth cleaned? Are they getting that mammogram? Are they getting the elective surgery? Absolutely. All right. We have arts and entertainment at 6.3%. I don't know. That might not come back as fast. Manufacturing, already back in California starting today. Construction, it's been going, it's coming back incredibly strongly. Just look at the month's worth of inventory. California is its own unique thing. You can't build a freaking sandcastle without having 6 permits, depending on the beach you're in. Imagine building a house, all right? Childcare. I don't think we really need to go into that, but it's coming back. And if they ask for a raise, I think they're probably going to get it, aren't they? From there, government, right? This is a lot of state, but mainly county, city. They're going to come back, maybe not as rapidly, but they're coming back pretty quickly. Then we have hotels and we have others. Hotels will be a good question. It's really going to depend on the guidance and the guidelines that are put out. All right, so there's a closer look. We've been waiting for this for a couple weeks. Here it is. Is this good news? Let's do some rounding here. 38%, they're coming back. 10%, 10%, 7% coming back. 6.3, 5.8, 5%. I think we're looking pretty good. But it has to happen. We can talk about it till we're blue in the face. But if action isn't taking place, then action isn't taking place. Dig a little bit further into this. The pie chart on the left, employed, unemployed, 14.7% is the actual number. That means 85.3% of the country is still working. Just a different perspective, glass half empty, glass half full. The one on the right is even more important. 90% of the people that are no longer employed due to this, they think they're coming back to work and they're doing it soon. That means 10% of the people that have lost their job, they don't think they're coming back. The other 9 out of 10, they're ready to get back to work. That's a great sign for everybody. All right, so from there, I'm going to leave you guys with this one. It's a quote from Mark Fleming, chief economist with First American. Housing supply remains at historically low levels, so house price growth is likely to slow, but it is not likely to go negative. All right, so there's your update. We're going to open this up to questions. So I know we've been getting some that have been coming in as we have been talking. So I got a list. I got a couple of them, some that were sent in early. So we're going to go ahead and get to those here in a second. All the contact information for Kim and I are right there. I'll tell you, I've worked with Kim. I know our company has worked with Kim extensively. She does, her and her company do amazing work. I've personally seen her. Oh, you're welcome. You know what? I don't hand out compliments very readily. Some people would say that's a fault. I would say it's called honesty. But you know what? I'll tell you the homeowners that we worked with, Kim, they didn't have a firm understanding what staging was. They really didn't understand what you were going to do. They were concerned that you were going to be like, all right, everything has to be out of here. You know, just all the stuff that you would imagine someone could imagine being wrong. They were so happy when we left that house. It was really good. It was really good. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
So all right, let's pop this off. Let's get back to staring at Kim and Ryan's wonderful faces.
Well, Ryan, I will say that you and your whole team, I mean, the whole Wannabe group as a whole, have been a huge pleasure and breath of fresh air for me to personally work with. And when I was talking earlier about agents out there in the market who really came to bat for us during this, Wannabe is at the top of the list.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. So we have a great group of people, great team, and I think you can tell when somebody's heart and effort is in the right place. I
think so. Yeah. You guys are an impressive group, truly. And I don't hand out compliments very easily.
All right, your $20 check is in the mail.
Right. There you go.
All right, let's get to some of the questions. Let's start off with some of them for you, Kim. First one is, why do I need a stager when I can clean and declutter on my own?
You certainly can clean and declutter on your own, but sometimes, and this is why we're in business, is that extra set of eyes from someone like me who does this every day for a living, and I work the same schedule as the real estate market does, which is 24/7. It's a fresh opinion. It is me telling a homeowner what I'm seeing in the market, what people are buying, what is moving fast. And the homeowner isn't privy to some of that knowledge just for the mere fact that they're not in the market every day like we are.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question? I think?
It does. And the follow-up to it was, is it worth the money? And I know that you guys have multiple levels and options and stuff like that, but I guess you say a general amount of money and what that correlates to?
You know, that brings up a few interesting points. One is we will do a consultation and give a homeowner pretty much room by room everything they need to do, and that's a nominal fee of $250. So to me, it is incredibly worth having me come into your home virtually or live for $250. Now, if you end up staging, and I can always give you a bid for free on that, we will deduct the $250 from your staging. So it's kind of a no-brainer. The other point in that is there are a lot of homeowners, and especially right now, who do not want to give up their cash, understandably. So we, in January, partnered with a finance company who will finance all staging, including improvements. So paint, carpet, whatever, really. I mean, some people are redoing their bathrooms, and they will finance all of it through escrow. So the homeowner is not out any money up front. We get paid. All of the vendors get paid. The painters, the carpet people, they get paid. And it is to me, a very nominal fee. It amounts to a few $100s for that security of knowing you don't have to go out of pocket for the expense of it. So, and then one other thing, I do not like losing jobs to anyone. And call me competitive, call me whatever, but I will always try to match another stager's bid in town. Also, if my bid ever looks too high for someone, I want to talk about it because there's always scalability. So, I mean, and especially in owner-occupied homes, the one thing that and thank you for your compliment, Ryan. The one thing I really try hard to do is not displace homeowners from their everyday life, because selling a house is disruptive enough at times with open houses and showings and keeping your house up. So my job is to help as much as I can and not disrupt a family. So I'm pretty cognizant of that. And so hopefully that answers all those questions. I probably went off on different tangents too.
No, I think you're good. I think you hit it. I would add to that. It's something that you brought up earlier. When I first got into real estate, I'm always someone who can see things in my head. I can imagine a structure in 3D and I can rotate it around and do all that stuff in my mind. Apparently there aren't a lot of people that can do that. And so I can walk into a house and I can have a pretty good idea of that will go here, that'll go there. That's not normal, right? And
right.
Even with my ability to see it, oh yeah, my king size bed is exactly that. Good luck, right? I can kind of tell. But what I've noticed now, having been in the industry, people have no imagination when it comes to relative size of the room and how their stuff is going to fit. And if you're thinking about, hey, do I need to stage this? The house is empty. Having a point of reference, such as here's a couch, here's a queen size bed, here's a kitchen table.
Yes.
Am I on the right track?
You're 100% on the right track. And what I oftentimes tell homeowners is that my job is also to anticipate what the camera lens is going to look at. So, because obviously nowadays, and even more so now, people shop online first. So those photos are important. They are more important now than they have ever been in the past. And so if I can position a room perfectly so that the photographer can capture it and make it look great online, I'm doing my job, because then I'm helping buyers walk into your house. They're going to want to call Brian for a showing. If they don't, then I haven't done my job.
I hear you. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, this one is a more real estate question. Are things selling? Are people buying things? Yes, they are. We went over the numbers earlier. 2 weeks ago, when we first started the show itself, instead of just a random YouTube update, I was telling you it's day by day, hour by hour. At this point, it is day by day, week by week-ish, probably closer to week by week. You'll notice that the graph, that there's a new graph we added in back at the beginning where we're looking at a weekly perspective. It's just a function of having enough data. But yes, things are absolutely selling. We have a townhouse down in Mission Valley, the Mission Valley Linda Vista Bay Park area just sold. It's at a brand new record in the Northern development for the highest price ever. We've got all kinds of properties in Carmel Valley that are selling. People are out. They need to buy. They need to sell. Right. And so the biggest question that I'm getting asked on a regular basis, and this is one that I saw a couple of them come through, how are you guys, and I think they're meaning both you as a stager, and you talked about this, and then me as an agent, how are we keeping people safe, and how are we protecting them, whether it be a homeowner or a buyer? So do you want to put add anything to what you said earlier? You want to maybe sum that up one more quick time?
Yeah, for us, and we're trying to really follow the guidelines set by the California Department of Real Estate and also San Diego locally. We will not enter a home unless we have signed the waivers, the COVID waivers. So that's first and foremost. Mm-hmm. If we do not do it by DocuSign, I have several copies in my car that I hand agents and homeowners with my gloves on when I enter a house. I photograph them and I upload them to our company cloud so that we're covered, that the homeowner is allowing me into the home. Mm-hmm. And we are wearing masks, we are wearing gloves, we are staying in homes for a very short amount of time. And, if a homeowner feels uncomfortable, then we'll wait a week. We'll wait 2 weeks. We'll wait however long they want, or we'll do it virtually.
Yeah, makes sense to me. On our end, it's very similar. Let's call it two different sides of the same coin. So in terms of buyers that are out there, there's the California Association of Realtor Reform. It's PEAD, Property Entry Advisory Disclosure. Yes. Basically, any buyer and or agent that wants to go into a house has to sign this. It's basically saying you might catch the coronavirus. Watch out. So, okay, cool. Got it. That's the norm now. So with buyers, it was not uncommon pre-coronavirus to have buyers look at an MLS sheet. They'll read the features, they'll look at the pictures, and they're like, good to go. Let's go look at the house. We're out driving around, looking at homes, going in, doing the normal, house search things. That's not how it's working today, obviously. At this point, buyers that we're working with, they're still looking through the MLS sheet. They're looking at the pictures. Now we're looking through with them the virtual tour, the 3D tour, and we're having the buyers actually go drive by the property first. If they can check all those boxes and then they still want to see the property, the next step is a virtual tour. Right. So whether that is me going to the property with an iPhone and doing a Zoom or a FaceTime, or whether that's the listing agent, we've even seen situations where the homeowners are doing it. That's the virtual tour. And now from there, it really depends on price point, right? If you're under $1 million, let's say, chances are if the home is not occupied, you're good to go in. It's not going to be an issue. You still sign the form. If it's occupied, it really is just going to depend on what the seller has to say. I think you're starting to see more access, especially, let's call it under 600. You get over that $1 million price point, and definitely over about 1.5, maybe 2, homeowners are not letting people step into the property unless they write an offer. Right? There's a couple properties we have in Carmel Valley right now that you will not step foot in unless you write an offer. And we're not accepting offers for $1 on a $1.7 million house. It needs to be a reasonable offer. Right. And it's just, that's one more layer of security for the sellers to know that we're not just letting any random, John and Jane walk through their house. Right. And so, turning that around onto the seller side, it's the opposite side of that. We're not going to let people into the house unless we know they have gone through all the steps that we just laid out for their buyers, for our buyers, for theirs. And more than likely, if you are not comfortable with somebody coming into the house without them having written an offer, that is something that we ultimately work for you. And if that's going to increase your level of comfort, we're going to make it happen. All right. And so that's currently where we're at. Things are going to start to change even more rapidly as we're going through. But in general, the face mask, the booties, the gloves, all that stuff is a no-brainer at this point. So that's where we're at with the safety. All right, Kim, I got another one for you. We'll go with the somewhat serious one. I do have a rather goofy one that someone sent in. All right, what are the 3, if you had to give 3 very quick top recommendations, somebody who says, look, I have the greatest sense of design ever. I can blah, 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 blah. What are the 3 things I have to do? What would you tell them? 3 biggest things.
First, less is more. Always. Mm-hmm. Less is more. I would suggest getting your main key rooms in perfect shape. Those being the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, the master bedroom. Then After that, I would just probably make sure that your scale of furniture in those rooms is appropriate. Your paintings and artwork and mirrors are placed appropriately. I am a stickler on scale. So if I see a huge, huge, huge sofa and teeny, teeny, tiny chairs next to it, I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. Like, let's move those out. Let's switch it up with something else. So scale, that's a big deal for me. So those are probably my 3 go-to things that I look at the most.
Okay. I actually now have a follow-up for you on that. The best way I've been able to describe this to buyers or sellers primarily is you cleaning up your house for the most important party that you're ever going to host is not staging. That's cleaning up. Staging is your house looks like a hotel.
Right.
How put a finer point on that? That's pretty crude. How would you describe that with personal?
Yeah, I mean, it varies because obviously if we're doing a vacant home, we have carte blanche into what we can bring into a house. So that's an easier job in many respects for us as stagers, because we go to the warehouse, we pick out everything. It's like you're designing for a day. In a owner-occupied house, it's a little tougher because it's a little harder to marry existing owners' furnishings with things that we bring in. It's one of my favorite things to do because it is so challenging. But to blend it is really, it's hard, but it's very, very fun. What I say to homeowners generally is, let's make your beds look like someone wants to just leap into them. They're so luxurious. Let's make your bathrooms look like you're at the Four Seasons spa. And those are not expensive things to do. They can be done with just a tiny few tricks. I was talking to a homeowner this morning virtually who is taking my advice, and her master bedroom needed some height on her bed. And I said, really, all you have to do is go buy 2 big European sized pillows and put them behind everything. And she did it. And her bed looks so much better. It's just about the photography right now. So, and then there's little tricks. Like, I even tell homeowners, take a photograph of your master bed and the nightstands and the lamps, and make sure it looks good in your photo. Is it symmetrical? Are the nightstands the same distance from the bed and the wall? Are your lamps positioned in the same position on each nightstand? They're tiny little tricks.
Yeah. These are all the little things, guys, that we don't think about. This is why there are subject matter experts that are out there. This is why we partner up with people like Kim, is because I don't need to know this. I have Kim.
I went to design school, so I have a particular interest in not seeing a bed that has a big wrinkle through it in a photo. I don't like that at all.
I hear you. All right, a couple more and then we'll get wrapped up. Got 2 more for you, 1 for me. I'll handle the real estate one first. When is the market going to crash? Not tomorrow. I've been saying this repetitively. I'll sum it up again. It's not going to. Based off everything that we're seeing at this point, it is not. All right. If we continue to have the economy shut down into August, September, October, that's a completely different story. Even as of a week ago, before they started having the opening up that we're having, right? There was nothing to indicate that was coming. All right. We've talked a lot about the different reasons why. Just today, we've talked about the equity that homeowners have, right? They're not walking away from $125,000, right? It's 177 if nothing happens. There's no depreciation. There's no crash. People aren't walking away from it. We showed you the month's worth of inventory. There's nothing for sale, right? There's nothing lining up that's going to indicate that. Will there be distressed properties? Yes, there will. Absolutely. Will there be foreclosures? No, they're not. You want to know why? Because, Kim, let me ask you, let's do a hypothetical question. I'm going to ask you, right? You're a homeowner. You have the average of $177,000. You owe $1 on your mortgage. You missed a payment. Bank says, Kim, we're foreclosing. Are you going to go, oh, crap? Oh, no, take my house. Or are you going to go, right, I'll pay you the dollar, right? But that's intuitive to the example. But here's the other actual answer. Sell the house for 1 point whatever and keep the profits. Keep your $177,000. What do you do?
Right. Yeah. Hello.
No brainer. No brainer, right? So there will be some, if we continue on the path and the trajectory that we're on right now, I don't see this turning anywhere close to being 2008. All right. All right, Kim, 2 more for you. We'll start with the serious one first. Are you really able to do as thorough of a job virtually staging than if you step into the property?
That's a really good question. I think so, because I think I'm that good at it. I guide a homeowner and tell them to slow down, step back so I can see the whole room at once, turn the camera so I can see every little detail. And so, yeah, I think that we can do a pretty darn good job. I mean, almost to perfect.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, having seen you do what you did over on La Jolla Shores Drive, being the most recent one, I wouldn't be surprised if you're still doing virtual consultations in a year just because it's easier for other people.
Yeah. I mean, it is easier. And I mean, I can do them right in the privacy of my house. And it's, I mean, to me, it's awesome. It's just another way to capture, you know, a client and to help you guys out, the homeowner, the agents. So.
Yeah. All right. Good. Last question. You ready for this one? What is the most bizarre thing that you really, really wanted a homeowner to remove from the house that they absolutely refused to remove for staging?
Oh, what is the most bizarre thing? Gosh, you know, I don't know if I've had that many bizarre things that I've needed people to remove. For some reason, I feel like I don't get much pushback, and maybe because I have a softer approach most of the time. Mm-hmm. I don't really have a good answer for that. Most homeowners are pretty good for me. They do what I tell them to do. Okay.
Well, that's where we'll leave it then. There's nothing wrong with that. So, all right, everybody, that is This Week in Housing, episode number 3 with
Thanks, Ryan.
Kim Kelly. Kim, thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right, everybody. That's going to be it. Recording will be up on YouTube at some point this weekend, and episode number 4 next Friday. All right, everybody. Make it a good weekend. Stay safe.
Thank you. Yep.